So have you ever had a dream, a real deep, quiet dream that you just set aside?
Oh, I think we all have something like that.
Right. And not because you stopped believing in it, but, because life, or maybe someone you loved, just asked something of you first.
Yeah, that classic, I'll get to it later mindset.
Exactly. You tell yourself, like later, when things settle down, when there's more time.
And then the time just goes.
It really does. Months become years, and that dream starts to feel like it belongs to a completely different version of you.
Someone you can barely even remember being.
Yeah, precisely. And that experience is exactly the mission of our Deep Talk today. We are exploring the anatomy of a deferred dream.
And it is such an incredible source we're looking at.
It is. It's this truly beautiful biographical narrative about a woman named Rosa Carvalho. We're going to look at that really powerful, often painful intersection of duty, passion, and that incredibly stubborn myth that it is ever too late.
I mean, it's a remarkable life to examine because it forces us to look at our own deferred ambitions, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
And to really understand Rosa, we have to start by setting the scene. The physical and cultural backdrop is so important here.
Right, because we are in Lisbon, Portugal in the year 1944.
Specifically, this neighborhood called Alfama. It's the oldest part of the city, built on these 7 steep hills that just overlook the wide silver mouth of the Tagus River.
Right where it meets the Atlantic Ocean. It is such a vivid world described in the text.
Oh, totally.
You have these deep blue and white azuleo tiles decorating ancient walls, steep cobblestone streets where you literally have to stop and catch your breath halfway up.
Yeah, washing lines strung between buildings, cats sleeping on sun-warmed stone walls.
It sounds so idyllic, but it's a very tight-knit working-class environment.
Very much so. And crucially, it is an environment completely saturated in a very specific kind of music.
Fado, right.
Yes. Alfama is a place where these ancient melodies of fado music just sort of drift from open doorways on summer evenings. And to understand Rosa's story, we actually have to understand the mechanism of fado.
Because it isn't just, like, sad music.
No, not at all. It is culturally rooted in the Portuguese concept of saudade.
Saudade. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, saudade, which translates roughly to this profound, melancholic longing for something or someone that is absent.
Wow.
Yeah, it is literally the music of what could have been or, what has been lost.
And that is such a vital piece of context. The music of longing. And that is the exact world Rosa Carvalho was born into.
The 4th of 6 children, right.
Right. Her father was a dock worker, and her mother took in sewing to help support the family. So they weren't wealthy by any stretch of the imagination.
No, but they were rich in this daily, breathing musicality.
Exactly. Every evening after dinner, someone was singing. Not for an audience, just because it was how they existed.
Yeah, her father had this deep, slow voice for those old fado songs.
And her mother sang over her sewing. The kids would tap wooden spoons against the kitchen table. It's such a great image.
But even in that highly musical household, Rosa was different.
Very different.
Even when she was a small child, if she opened her mouth to sing, conversations just simply stopped.
People would turn toward her involuntarily.
Yeah, because it wasn't just that she had perfect pitch or a warm tone, it was the emotional weight of it.
When Rosa sang, she meant it entirely, the way some people cry. She sang without a drop of self-consciousness.
She just gave everything to the sound.
Right. And that kind of raw talent doesn't go unnoticed.
No, it doesn't. By the time she's 12, her music teacher at school, this serious man named Senor Montero, he actually goes to her parents.
Which is a big deal back then.
Oh, massive. He tells them she has an exceptional gift, that she needs formal instruction, and that her voice could take her somewhere extraordinary.
But the reality of their economic situation steps in.
Always does, yeah.
The parents listen, they thank him, and then they look at their 6 kids and their incredibly tight budget on this hillside in Alfama.
And the conversation is just quietly set aside. It's never mentioned again.
Which sets up this fascinating, quiet tension in the narrative. Because, jump forward a bit, Rosa is 19.
And she has been quietly saving a tiny bit of money in a tin on a shelf above her bed.
Just a few coins at a time. It wasn't for anything grand, just this soft hope of maybe one day taking those vocal lessons.
But then, on an August morning, her father collapses at the docks.
It's a devastating medical emergency. He spends a terrifying week in the hospital, and the diagnosis comes down with a lot of long medical words that ultimately mean one very simple thing.
He can no longer perform hard labor.
Right. The family's primary income vanishes literally overnight.
And this is where we see the psychological weight of duty really kick in.
Yeah.
Rosa takes that tin of money, her dream fund, counts it carefully, and realizes it's just enough to help her family survive for 2 months while her father recovers.
2 months of rent and food.
Exactly. She hands it to her mother on a Tuesday morning, never even saying what the money was originally for. She just gives it up.
And then she goes out and gets a job at a laundry on the edge of the neighborhood.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is the detail that really stuck with me the most out of the whole narrative.
Oh, the piece of paper.
Yes. She takes the name of the vocal teacher that Senor Montero gave her, a name written on this small folded piece of paper, and she just keeps it in the pocket of her winter coat.
Yeah, she moves it from coat pocket to coat pocket, season after season, for 35 years.
It's like, when you're working on your computer and you open a tab in your web browser for an article you really want to read.
Oh my gosh, yes. Or a huge personal project you want to start.
Right. And then life gets busy, you're doing 100 other things, but you violently refuse to close that one tab.
It just sits there.
It sits there taking up background memory for weeks or months. You aren't actively looking at it, but closing it would mean admitting you're never going to get to it.
Wow, that piece of paper in her pocket is a 35-year open browser tab.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it, actually. Because in psychology, there is a concept called identity foreclosure.
Identity foreclosure. What is that exactly?
Well, it usually happens when someone commits to a role, like, say, provider or caretaker, without fully exploring their other options, often out of pure necessity.
Like Rosa having to work at the laundry.
Right. When her father collapsed, her brain had to shut down the dreamer network to allocate all resources to the survival network. She committed to being the practical one.
That makes total sense.
But when a quality like practicality is that fine-tuned and ingrained, it exacts a massive toll. You give up the oxygen that your own identity needs to breathe, simply because someone else needed it more in that moment.
But what happens to that fine-tuned practicality when the immediate crisis passes? Like, does she go back to the dream?
Yeah.
Or does the practicality just become a permanent habit?
It totally becomes a permanent habit.
Because we know she still sang.
Right.
At the church, at home, under the hum of the laundry machines.
Yeah, the crisis passes, but the role she adopted remains. At 23, she marries Duarte.
Duarte. I love Duarte in this story.
He's great. He's this neighborhood carpenter with a loud laugh that literally rattled the plates and an absolute total inability to carry a tune.
Yes, this woman with a once-in-a-generation voice marries a guy who is functionally tone-deaf.
And she just finds it endlessly amusing. It really highlights the warmth of their dynamic.
So they move into a small apartment nearby. They have 2 children, Pedro and Inés.
And Rosa becomes the irreplaceable center of this incredibly demanding, exhausting, but beautiful life.
Long Sunday lunches, neighbors knocking unannounced, caring for her recovering father, and later, her declining mother.
It's a profoundly full life, and she is still singing through all of it. It's at the stove, at the kids' bedsides to get them to sleep, but it's strictly background music now.
Yeah, and the source notes that when people at family dinners would inevitably say, Rosa, you should have been a singer, she would just wave it off.
She'd say, oh, I was too busy living.
Too busy living.
And she genuinely believed for a very long time that she did not mind giving it up at all.
See, here's where it gets really interesting. I have a hard time believing that.
You don't buy it.
Not really. You don't just fold up a world-class talent and feel absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Was she just lying to herself? Or does the psychology actually support that you can completely turn off a passion like that?
A great point.
Because building a busy life over a buried dream feels like a massive exercise in self-deception to me.
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's about the profound difference between not minding and making peace.
Okay, break that down.
From the outside, they look identical. Both look like mature acceptance, but making peace brings true closure. It resolves the internal tension. You process the grief of the unlived life.
So you actually deal with the loss.
Yes. Not minding, on the other hand, is an active defense mechanism. It's a survival strategy that leaves the dream perfectly intact, just completely silent.
Oh, that's heavy.
Imagine living in a small apartment with a grand piano in the center of the room that you are never allowed to touch.
Oh, wow.
You have to actively ignore it every single day. The instrument isn't broken, it's fully functional, but it hasn't made a sound in decades.
So it takes a tremendous amount of subconscious energy to maintain that silence.
Exactly.
That is a terrifying thought.
Yeah.
That you could have this fully functional part of your identity just sitting in the dark for 40 years, requiring energy to keep it suppressed. Present. intact, but entirely silent.
And that silence is precisely what brings us to the most shattering catalyst in Rosa's life.
The moment everything changes.
The event that breaks the defense mechanism and forces that instrument to finally make a sound. In 1998, Duarte dies of a sudden, massive heart attack.
He is 61 years old.
One minute he is laughing at the dinner table, and the next he is just gone.
And Rosa is 54. Her kids are grown. And suddenly, for the first time in over 30 years, that apartment on the hillside is just profoundly, overwhelmingly quiet.
Outwardly, she manages the logistics of grief. She does the shopping with her elderly neighbor, Senora Baptista. She cooks. She goes to church.
Keeping the routine going.
Right. But inside, that stillness has completely taken over. And it is her daughter, Ines, who recognizes that something needs to shift.
Inés is the one who pushes her, gently, to join a new community choir forming at the local church hall.
And she frames it perfectly to bypass Rosa's practicality. She says, just to get you out of the apartment, just for something to do.
Right, because if she made it about Rosa's talent, Rosa would have said no.
Exactly. So Rosa goes, mostly because it's easier than arguing. She sits in the back.
And the conductor is this 26-year-old guy named Tomas.
Yes, Tomas. He has that rare gift of making people feel capable before they've even proven themselves.
He asks everyone to just sing a simple warm-up phrase, right? Just to see where a room is at chronologically and vocally.
And Rosa sings, and the hall goes completely quiet.
Just dead silent.
But not an awkward, uncomfortable quiet. The kind of silence that only follows something incredibly true and unexpected.
Tomas is totally professional, though. He doesn't make a scene in front of everyone. But after rehearsal, he tracks her down.
He asks how long she's been singing, and she says, all my life, for nobody in particular.
Such a Fado answer.
Totally. And he immediately asks her to sing a solo at their upcoming spring concert.
And her reaction's to completely panic.
She looks at him. She's 54, wearing her everyday coat, a shopping bag on her arm, zero formal training. And she tells him he absolutely has the wrong person.
So what does this all mean? Like, why is it that when someone finally hands us the metaphorical microphone we've secretly wanted our entire lives, our first instinct is to violently resist it?
This raises an important question, really. If we connect this to the broader human experience, it comes down to a specific kind of loss aversion.
Loss aversion.
Yeah. Returning to a dream after decades is often far scarier than abandoning it in the first place.
Really? Scarier than giving it up.
Oh, definitely. Because when you abandon a dream, it gets to remain perfect in your imagination. It becomes a pristine, untouchable fantasy of what if.
Oh, I see.
If Rosa tries now at 54 and fails, she loses the comfort of that fantasy forever. The ego protection is completely stripped away.
That makes so much sense.
Tomas acts as a mirror in this moment by saying, I am quite certain I don't have the wrong person. He refuses to let her hide behind her age or her lack of training or her shopping bag.
He forces her to look at the terrifying reality of her own gift.
Exactly. And it culminates at that spring concert.
She hasn't slept for 3 nights. Her hands are visibly shaking. She's standing in the very church she's attended for 40 years. But for the first time, she's doing something entirely for herself.
And she sings the old fado her father used to sing.
And because she's rehearsed it internally for a lifetime, it just pours out of her.
And again, that profound silence falls over the 200 people in the room.
When she finishes, her adult children, Ines and Pedro, are literally crying in the 3rd row.
That moment breaks decades of internal silence for Rosa. She receives the applause not with false modesty, but with a calm gratitude.
But Tomas isn't done.
No, he is on a mission.
After the concert, he finds her in the courtyard. He tells her about a proper music school in the city center offering adult vocal training.
He's already set up an audition for her.
And Rosa tries to pull the ripcord again. She says, I am 54 years old.
And Tomas delivers what might be the most powerful realization of this entire narrative.
I love this part.
He says, yes, and you have been singing for 45 of them without any training. Imagine what 10 more years with proper guidance could do.
It just cuts right through all the excuses.
Doesn't it?
Rosa looks at the church doors, thinks about the tin of money from when she was 19, thinks about that piece of paper she moved from coat to coat for 35 years. And she finally says, when is the audition?
So how does a person go from completely shutting down that side of themselves to actually mastering it?
Because it's not easy.
Not at all. She starts formal training at 55. And we have to understand, this is not a magical overnight montage. It is grueling.
Well, what does it actually mean to train a voice at 55?
It means breaking down 45 years of ingrained muscle memory. Your vocal cords and breathing patterns have literally shaped themselves around doing it incorrectly for 4 decades.
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about the physical aspect of it.
Yeah, her teacher has to kindly, patiently tear down and rebuild her technique over 2 entire years.
She's practicing in her kitchen at dawn before the city wakes up. The early light is hitting the Tagus River. The neighborhood cats are sitting on the stone walls, listening to her do vocal runs.
It's this beautiful image of solitary dedication, completely unglamorous but utterly necessary.
Slowly, she starts doing small community concerts, outdoor festivals on the cobblestone streets.
The city starts receiving her voice the way it always receives Fado, like it had just been quietly expecting it all along.
And then, at the age of 60, the unthinkable happens.
A main stage.
Yes. She is invited to perform a 20-minute slot at Lisbon's main concert hall. The real stage. The gold lights she had only ever heard about.
Her kids are there. Tomas is standing in the back, arms folded, looking totally vindicated.
An old Senora Baptista from next door shows up in her best coat and flat out refuses to sit down.
It is the culmination of everything. But what's fascinating here is the core cognitive shift that happens not during the performance, but right before it.
When she's standing in the wings, waiting to go on.
Exactly. She's 60 years old. She's wearing her mother's earrings. She's definitely afraid. But underneath the fear is this massive, unshakable certainty.
She realizes that not a single moment was wasted.
Right. Your dream does not expire. Those 40 years of Sunday lunches, working in the laundry, singing at the bedsides of sick children, they were not a delay.
They were not time stolen from her real life.
They were her real life.
And I think this is the ultimate reframe for anyone listening. We tend to view our lives as a straight line. And if we step off the path of our ambition, we think we've ruined the timeline.
Like we're behind schedule.
Right. But Rose's 40 years of giving her voice away in small, unseen moments, that wasn't a detour. That was an intensive 40-year emotional training camp.
That is so true.
Going back to what you said about Saudade, that longing, that heartbreak, you can't fake that.
No, you really can't.
It's what gave her voice the depth and the warmth that made audiences hold their breath. Without the laundry and the grief and the profound love she poured into her family, her voice wouldn't have meant as much.
She was never more ready to step onto that stage than she was at age 60.
The lived experience is the very thing that validates the art.
When she finally steps out under those warm gold lights and opens her mouth, the sound that fills the hall isn't the sound of regret or lost time.
No.
It is the sound of a life fully, entirely lived. And back in Alfama, through an open window, the city's music continues, ancient and alive, but now Rosa is finally a recognized part of it.
It's just an unbelievable arc. I mean, from a 19-year-old girl handing over her only savings in a tin, folding a piece of paper and putting it away,
to a 60-year-old woman commanding the absolute center of Lisbon's cultural stage.
It proves that the quietest resilience is often the most powerful.
It really forces all of us to examine the things we have convinced ourselves are gone, simply because they have been quiet for a long time.
Yeah.
The mechanism of self-deception is strong, but the actual capacity for rediscovery is stronger.
It brings us right back to you, listening to this. We spend so much of our mental energy regretting the things we've put in our own metaphorical coat pockets.
The dreams we folded away when duty called.
Right? We look at them as these tragic missed opportunities, these unlived lives. But what if we shifted our perspective?
I like this.
What if you stop viewing those deferred dreams as failures and start seeing them as seeds that you intentionally placed in cold storage?
They weren't dying.
No, they were just waiting for you to gain the lived experience required to actually handle them.
That is a beautiful way to look at it.
So is there a folded piece of paper in your own life right now? A talent, a trip, a conversation, a quiet ambition?
Check your pockets.
Exactly. What if that piece of paper isn't a reminder of what you failed to do, but rather an appointment you made with your future self? And what if, just maybe, you are finally exactly ready to keep that appointment today?
A very powerful question to leave on. The instrument is still there. It's just waiting to be played.
Well said. That's all the time we have for our deep dive today. Thank you so much for joining us and exploring Rosa's remarkable journey.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Keep unpacking those pockets, keep questioning those silent assumptions, and we will catch you next time.